Hello and welcome to today's Bitrix24 webinar, Next Level CRM. Total Telephony. Thank you for joining today. Okay, so first of all, we'll just go through some introductions. So I'm Sam Connor, Sales Manager here at Interface. We are Bitrix24 Gold Partners. We're based here in the UK, the US, and Hong Kong. We offer a full range of services to assist you with Bitrix24. So starting off with pre-sale support, so we can help to answer your questions and really help you to fully evaluate the Bitrix24 system. And then we can help to set up the platform. So if you've decided it's the right solution for your business, we can build out the platform. If you're interested in the self-hosted version of Bitrix, essentially this is a private cloud version of Bitrix24, then we can provide you with our hosting service. And then we also offer training and ongoing dedicated support to help you get the most possible value out of the Bitrix24 system. So today's webinar is Total Telephony. So we're going to be focusing on the telephony functionality available within Bitrix24. But first of all, let's just discuss a bit more about what Bitrix24 actually is. So Bitrix24 is a suite of well in excess now of 40 different tools that you can use to help you to manage your business. And there are over 15 million organizations now around the world that use the Bitrix24 system, and it's available in two different versions. So we have the Bitrix Cloud and we have the Bitrix self-hosted solution. And in terms of pricing, so prices start from $49 per month for a cloud-based system that starts on the basic cloud. And for the self-hosted, we have the starting package is the Business 50 version, and that's priced at $3,590 US. And with the self-hosted in year 2 and then ongoing annually, you will pay a 50% renewal fee to continue to access the system. Okay, so first of all, let's just discuss why you should use Bitrix24 for your telephony requirements. So first of all, Bitrix has a built-in phone system. Okay, so with this, you're able to click and call directly through the Bitrix system, which we'll take a look at shortly. You can also integrate with existing PBXs. So we'll look at the options available for that integration. And then we can seamlessly integrate with the CRM. So you can have calls recorded in the system. You can click to call directly through a CRM profile record. And with Bitrix, we have reporting available. So dashboard reporting, analyzing these call statistics through the system. And if you're renting a Bitrix rented number, then it's a very low starting cost for the actual setup. Okay, so first of all, let's discuss the options for actually using telephony within Bitrix24. So first of all, we have Bitrix Telephony. So this option is essentially where you're renting a number from Bitrix24. The second option is an integration, integrating your existing phone provider into Bitrix. So we'll look at both of those options today. And what we'll start on is Bitrix Telephony. So we're going to look here now at how we can set up a brand new number within the Bitrix system. We'll see how we can then configure this as a virtual phone system within Bitrix24. And we'll then see how this integrates with the CRM and look at the soft phone application. Okay, so let's jump into our Bitrix system. So what we're looking at here, this can be done on both the cloud and the self-hosted version of Bitrix24. So you want to go to your telephony module. So on the left-hand side of your Bitrix platform, you should be able to see the telephony module there. And you could also search in the top search bar as well, and that will turn on your telephony module here as well. So once you're inside here, You can see here, first of all, if you have any numbers connected, you'll see those here in the My Numbers section where it will display. And what we're going to be looking at today, where we're creating new numbers, configuring settings. Of course, you don't want all of your staff to be able to do this. So what we can do is we can go into to access permissions, and we can create different roles inside the system here. And based on those roles, we can then configure what that user is able to do within the telephony module. So, for example, do we let them configure telephony settings? We might deny access on this specific user role, for example. So it's very simple to configure access permissions inside the platform on telephony. So what we'll look at now is let's look at creating a new number for ourselves inside the Bitrix24 system. So if we click on rent a number, then let's say here I'm based in the UK. So I want to select the UK country. And then I can select what type of number I would like to use. So whether that's a local, mobile, national, or toll-free number, depending on your country, there'll be different types of numbers that you're able to select from. And then let's say if I'm choosing a local number, then I can choose my local area code. And then I'm able to rent that number through the Bitrix platform. And that's going to cost approximately $6 per month to rent the number. Now, there may also be an additional one-off integration charge. And as you can see here, that we need to upload a valid postal address for this location. So if you are going to be renting numbers through Bitrix, this is something you need to be aware of, that you may need to upload valid postal address documentation to be able to use that number. So that's something you need to be aware of. And then once you've rented that number, that's going to cost you, as I say, approximately $6 per month to rent the number. And inbound calls are included within that call rate. And you will pay per minute based on the country that you are calling to. Okay, so here we have the outbound call rate. So I'll just add these into our YouTube chat. And if you have any questions, you can always ask them through YouTube. We're here live right now to speak with you. Okay, so once we've done that, we can then top up our credit. You need to have an active running balance of credit to be able to make calls, because it will then start to charge you as you're making those outbound calls through the system. And then you'll be able to see your numbers inside the My Numbers area. And what's really nice now is we can start to configure our phone number and set this up now as a virtual phone system inside our Bitrix. So we can see here at the top, this is the number ending in 419 that we have rented. And then there's lots of different options and settings that we can now set up to personalize this phone line and make this virtual phone system. So for example, on the inbound call routing, we have different settings here, such as when we want to play welcome music. A really nice feature, you can set up a voice menu. So this is most commonly called an IVR menu. And within here, then, what we can do is we can set up a routing matrix. So when the customer calls in, we can have a description and a menu provided to the client that will then help them to be routed to the correct team or the correct person within the Bitrix24 platform. So let's say here, let's press 1. I want to route this to our sales team. We want to, if you're pressing option 2, then we'll go to the technical support team. So we can set up the structure in here to have those calls routed. And then we can choose how we want this information to be announced to the user that is calling in. So I could choose the text to speak option. Okay, so we can type out that message and I can then select the language for this, how that's going to be spoken to the client. I can choose the speed and I can choose the volume as well. Or if you want to upload your own audio file, you can simply record your message and upload that into here as well. So that's a really nice feature to configure for your routings. And we saw those groups that I added there, such as the sales group, the technical support group. This is where we can set up those groups. So I could create a new group here. Or let's say if I go into our sales group, inside here, I can see what users are assigned to that group inside the system here. So it's very simple to add users to their relevant groups, and that's then used inside the IVR menu structure. And within each group, you can configure how those calls are then distributed, whether it's evenly to everyone on a round robin allocation, etc. Okay, so that's looking at inbound calls. We can then set up our CRM integration. So a really nice feature here, if the number is not registered in the CRM and calls to that number that we've rented, we could then create a new lead inside the CRM system automatically. Or let's say for inbound lead, we can then configure, we might say for outbound calls, let's create a new lead. So you can customize this here and then set up the source for those leads inside the system as well. We can also turn on call recordings. So a really popular feature here is having all of that call history recorded inside the system. So I can turn on the save recording. And what's really nice here is you can play, your call will be recorded. So for a warning message on any inbound calls coming into the system, you can make them aware. And if you have any third-party speech recognition application or service, then the stereo sound is not required if you use the built-in speech recognition system. Okay. It's also possible to have calls transcribed. So if you're using a rented number, then the Copilot functionality in Bitrix can transcribe your calls inside the CRM record page. Now, a really important feature that you need to configure as well is the working hours. So you can customize here what times within the working day your staff are actually going to be managing phone calls through the system. So any out of hours, you can set up a process, whether that's enable a voicemail service or maybe forwarding to a specific number as an out of hours number in the platform. We can then also set up redial missed callbacks, or if you're wanting to set up maybe a prefix for calls via a certain number. There's lots of additional settings you can configure here, even the greeting message for when the customer calls in. So this allows it to be a completely virtual phone system that you can set up inside your Bitrix24 platform. Let's take a look now. I'm just going to show you what this looks like when a user from the CRM, so one of our contacts from the CRM system calls into Bitrix. We'll see this is going to display now that user's information on our record. And we'll see here, so this is for our client database from the CRM. So Sam Cotter is now calling to the number that we have rented inside our Bitrix system. So I can see the person's details before I answer the call, and I can then answer this. I could transfer the call and have that information saved inside the system there. So that's what it looks like when we're calling, when our clients are calling into the system. All of that history is displayed in a really nice UI for you to view before answering a phone call. If we go into the CRM system, then what we can see here is if we go into a client's record, then you'll see here inside the platform that I can see all of the history here. So I can see call recordings, play those calls back. Hello. And I can also click to call through the system here as well. So that is that full CRM integration. And this is a really nice feature It's a really tight integration with the CRM, with the recordings, click to call, and being able to see the client's information before you actually answer any inbound phone calls through the Bitrix platform. And we work with a lot of businesses that do outbound calling, so mass volume calling and call centers. So what you could also do in Bitrix, if we go into the lead database here, is I could select the group of leads that I want to call. I could filter through this information. And then from here, I can then start to dial directly through our call list, like so. So you can quickly and easily start to call through your call list on the platform. Or alternatively, you could actually, as a selection of those leads, I could then assign this out to one of our sales staff as a call list that they need to then complete. So if I have that group now of leads, and I'm going to assign this out to a colleague. Okay, so that information is now captured. And then I'm going to assign this out to Mark on the system. And that's now going to create the activity for Mark to complete that call list tomorrow. So you've got lots of additional functionality here built into the CRM that you can use, which is associated with the telephony module. Now, we do have a full CRM webinar, so I won't go into too much more detail, but one other element I'd like to show you here is the automation engine inside the CRM. So as you are progressing your leads and deals through the stages of the CRM, a feature you can enable is the ability to manage robocalls through the system. Okay, so if we click onto here, you can go into your customer communication here. So first of all, you can track outbound calls. So when actually an employee calls the customer, it can track and change the stage that that call is at. We can also then make a call. So here, this is essentially the robocall functionality. So we can type out the message that will be relayed to the customer. So I can then select from the data in the CRM. So it's going to be dynamically populating here. Okay, and then let's add the responsible person. There we go. So if we set this up now inside our CRM system, what we're going to do here is as soon as the lead moves to the call stage, it's going to create a task for the sales rep, but it's also going to automatically call the lead now. It's going to make a phone call, and if the lead answers, they're going to then receive this message as a phone broadcast. And again, you can customize the language and the speed and the volume that that message gets relayed. And you can also actually use an audio file as well if you want to load that onto the system. So those are some of the additional features available through calling. And if we click into the marketing module, again, you can set up voice broadcasts here as well. So very similar, but on here, you can select the segment of data that you want to send those calls to. So I could maybe select all of our clients and VIPs as a segment, and then we can then set up that robocall to be placed and go out to that group of data from the CRM system. So you can send out very targeted robocalls through the system here. Okay, so that is a look there at using Bitrix telephony. So we've seen how we can set up our virtual phone system using a rented number, and there we've just seen the CRM integration itself. Now, if there are any questions, we are live on YouTube today. Please do add them into the channel. I've added the outbound call rates into our chat history so you can see what the call charges would be for outbound calls. But the other alternative, if you don't want to rent a Bitrix number, because I'll just be clear here, that would be a brand new number that you're renting. Okay, so that would be if you're in a business that's had a number for a long time, maybe that's not appropriate for you to actually have to use a brand new number. So that maybe is a case where you want to integrate your existing phone system. Or maybe you have a really competitive call package with your current provider. Again, it's another reason why you wouldn't want to have to use another number. So there are many reasons why you would want to integrate your existing phone provider into Bitrix. So let's take a look at the different options. So we'll take a look now at the Bitrix SIP connector. We'll look at the available app integrations, and then we'll also discuss about bespoke API integrations. Okay, so we'll move back now into our telephony module. And within here, so we've seen how we can rent a number. But if you are using your existing provider, and if you have either an office PBX or a cloud PBX, so that's a private branch exchange, you can use the SIP connector available through Bitrix to connect your PBX into the system. So what you need to do is if you come into here and click on Connect Cloud PBX, you'll see a form now that you need to fill in with your credentials. Okay, so that's going to have all of the details. If you don't know this yourself, your phone provider should be able to give you this information. And it's very similar for the Office PBX. The only difference here is the information that you need to supply is slightly different. And you can then connect with the PBX and you get 60 minutes then to have for free to configure and test outbound calls to make sure the integration is working correctly. And once you've done that, of course, you receive inbound calls via your Bitrix SIP for free, but you would then need to rent the SIP connector. And the SIP connector costs $49 per month as a flat rate to connect your PBXs into Bitrix24. And they will then display here in the My Numbers section of Bitrix for you to use. Okay, the next option, if you don't have a PBX, is Bitrix has telephony integrations in the marketplace. So Bitrix has a market store where there are third-party integrations. So there are some really popular integrations available through here, such as Bitrix, Ring Central, Twilio Telephony. So if your phone provider is one of the providers here in the marketplace, then you can install these. Some may be chargeable, but as you can see, the Ring Central one is a free integration. You just need to make sure that you are on the correct plan of Bitrix or on Ring Central. Okay, so for example here, then you need to have a commercial license of Bitrix24 to be able to use the plan. Okay, so that's the second option, using one of the marketplace integrations. The third option, if none of those options work for you, is we can look to build a bespoke integration using the Bitrix API to connect with your phone systems. Now, that will be more expensive. It could be in the region of around 10 to 15,000 US dollars. But if that's within your budget, then we can discuss those options with you. We've done that before for several businesses to have a seamless integration between their phone provider and Bitrix24. Okay, so let's just see if there are any questions. Okay, so is there a limit to the number of phone numbers that I can rent? So if you're talking about renting, I believe you'll be talking about a Bitrix rented number. So there's no limit on the number of numbers that you can rent. You just need to make sure, as we looked at earlier on, that you, when renting the number, have valid postal address information for certain countries that you're looking to rent through. So, for example, here in Germany, you need to upload a valid postal address to be able to rent a number. And here you can also see a connection charge. So there'll be a one-off charge to connect this phone number, in addition to that $6 per month rental fee. Okay, so that now moving on to look at costs. So we have discussed about costs throughout the webinar today. But first of all, we have those Bitrix telephony call rates. So they're in the chat history on our YouTube webinar here. So these are the outbound call rates. So you'll be paying per minute based on the country that you are calling to. And as I say there, we've just discussed about the one-off connection charges that may be possible depending on the country that you're calling to. And you'll then pay around $4 to $6 per month for the actual renting of the number. Whereas if we're looking at the SIP connector, so connecting your PBX into Bitrix, then that's going to cost you $49 per month for the renting of the SIP connector. And if you're looking at the marketplace applications to integrate, then most of those are free to integrate. You just need to make sure you have the correct tier of phone provider package and Bitrix package to enable you to use that application. But if you're looking at using the API to build a bespoke integration, then that could cost in the region of 10 to 15,000 US dollars. Okay, so all of that data and information that we have inside the system, we want to be able to report on that, and Bitrix gives you that capability. So within the telephony module here, first of all, we can see call details. So this gives us all of the history of every call, inbound, outbound, that's taken place within the Bitrix system. So if the call is made and recorded, I can play those calls back through here. I can also configure this information, by the way, so I can change the layout. I can configure what information I want to display in the front end table here. And I can also export this data out into Excel. But we also have a more visualized way of seeing the information here. And this is using the dashboard reporting tool in Bitrix. So we can analyze performances. We can start to analyze our call history from unanswered calls to call density. So actually, when are we most busy? When are we missing calls? This is really useful if you're needing to schedule staff amongst maybe a period of time where phone calls are coming into the system. And then we also have employee performance. So we can see the overall involvement of our staff across the phone calls that are taking place. So there are lots of really useful dashboard reports that you can utilize to analyze that call history through the Bitrix platform. Okay, so that is a look at reporting. And so that brings us to an end of today's Bitrix24 Total Telephony webinar. So in summary, we've seen how Bitrix can be used as a virtual phone system and how we can also integrate existing phone numbers into Bitrix using one of those different options we've discussed. There's the integration with the CRM system, which is a really tight integration, so you can have call recordings and click to call directly through the CRM. We've just there seen the reporting for capability, analyzing that call history. And we discussed at the start here, it is a very low startup cost to use the Bitrix telephony functionality in the platform. Okay, so here are a selection of our up and coming webinars. You can register at intraface.com/webinars. And we are here every other Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So please do join us if you can. In the meantime, if you have any other questions, you can contact us, sales@intraface.com, and one of our team will be happy to answer your questions and help you get more value out of the Bitrix24 system. So thank you very much for your time today. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye for now.